Photography books. If you're like me, you absolutely love them. Just flicking through someone else's photography book, or better, your own, but we'll get to that later in the video, is something special. Yes, looking at them on a screen, watching them on YouTube, flicking through them on Instagram, yeah, that's sound, but it's not the same. Let's just face it. Seeing physically printed stuff is just so superior to looking at something on a screen. If you're not into photography books or you've never really bought them before, I really think you should start. And here's a couple of the reasons. The first reason is it's such a big investment into yourself. Because something that you might look at and you think, I don't really get much from that. You might not at the minute. You might not be in that zone currently, but you will be at some point. If you buy a book from Ansel Adams, as an example, or Stephen Shaw, I love Uncommon Places, that kind of book, you might not really appreciate that. I didn't when I bought Stephen Shaw's book. And then it took American Mile from Cal McDougall to kind of make me really appreciate Stephen Shaw's book as well. So a huge investment into yourself as a photographer. But not only that, they're hugely inspiring. You look at these places, you look at the photographs, you look at the work that they've gone into sometimes quite a narrow project, and you just think, I want to do that. And you can. But there seems to be a bit of a trend in photography books, and I think we need to have a little bit of a change, a little bit of a reshuffle, and rethink our priorities, because I think we all need to help each other a little bit more. And this isn't me trying to sell you anything, so don't worry about that. But we'll get to that later in the video, so stay towards the end for that, because I've got a very good idea of how we can fix all of this. If you follow any YouTubers, you got Thomas Heaton, James Popsis, Cal McDougall, all the rest. There's tons. There's far too many. I'm just naming the ones that I normally watch. You follow them every year, 2 year, they'll bring out a book or a calendar, something like that, and you see their work all the time. You obviously appreciate their work because you watch their videos as well. And then when they bring something out, you think, oh, well, like I'm getting something from that. I like their work. I like them. I know it supports them. So it kind of works really well. You're getting something you want and you're helping your photographer who you appreciate. Great. That's kind of where I've been for a long time. Up until probably about 4 months ago. Now, 4 months ago, I went into London Camera Exchange in Newcastle, which is the local one where I go to. The lads in there are absolutely fantastic. Now, when I was in there, I noticed there was a book from Richard. And I'm thinking, what is that? And the bloke who works there was like, oh, this is my book. And then he got on talking about it. And it was basically a photo book on a project that he worked on about his nan. And the first thing that goes through your head is, like, why would I want a book about your nan? And then the passion kept coming. And talking about the project, I was inspired just hearing him. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy it. Normally I wouldn't do this because I don't know really what your work's like. I haven't even looked through it. And at the end of the day, it's about your nan. Like, I don't know your nan. And then when I said I'll have a copy of that, then I got it. Then the penny dropped because I seen his face and I seen what it meant to him. One, the passion for this project, and two, just the fact that someone would be willing to buy a book that he's spent so many years working on to create this project about, obviously something very dear to him. Then I fully understood. I'm like, oh, this is actually, it's about a little bit more than just me. And then once I got the book, you start having a little flick through and reading the little bits that's in there information wise and explaining it, and then you're looking through the pictures. Oh, this is really good. And I don't know why I didn't necessarily expect it to be, because a lot of the time, loads of us are good photographers. I'm putting me in that bracket because I want to be thought of as a decent photographer. But there's so many great photographers out there that none of us have even heard of before, because a lot of the books and a lot of the photographers we watch and listen to, obviously they're the famous ones, they're the popular ones. You've got people like Thomas Heaton and all the rest of it, who fantastic photographers, create great videos, and they've entertained us for years. But that doesn't mean they're the only people out there, but they just seem to be the only ones we ever really take much notice of. So I was thinking, like, what books have I actually got on my shelf? So I went through, I've got like Ansel Adams, Stephen Shaw, and quite a few big ones. I've got that Black Dots by Nicholas something White, I think. Great book about bothies and stuff. I've got a few. And I was looking, I think the only one that I've got from a photographer that I don't know, I have got a couple of zines, but the actual photo book that I've got is this one from Richard. Why do we never buy from lesser known or local photographers? I don't know. But I've got some really important points that I think will really help you understand why I think we really need to start, for one, and why I think it's going to help everyone if we do, for two. So first off, I would say personally, that buy-in from your peers really strengthen the bonds in that photography community, because a rising tide raises all ships. But probably the most important point, which I had definitely missed, and you're probably watching this thinking, yeah, I'm probably guilty of this, is by buying these books from lesser known or local photographers, you're investing and helping to fund someone else's dream of sharing their work. Sometimes it's not just about us. And I know in this current climate and the way the world is, we all just think everything ends with us, really. And you think, well, why would I want to buy that book? And that's what I thought with him. I'm thinking, why would I want to buy a book about your nan? I don't even know who your nan is. And then I got it. And I honestly think that that is the most important point by a mile, is you're helping someone else fund their dream of sharing the work. And on top of that, no matter how good you are or the standard you think that you're at compared to, say, people's work that you're looking to buy, you can still learn things from them. Even if they're shooting photos in a completely different genre to you, it doesn't mean you can't take anything at all from that work. And again, just because they're not a huge famous photographer on YouTube or somewhere else, it doesn't mean that you're not going to learn anything from them. You will. At worst, you're going to be really inspired by probably a quite narrow, low-funded project, because you got all these big photographers. Say, for example, Nigel Danson, done Lusk and Tyre. Fantastic project, but not many people can afford, one, to take a month, I'm sure it was a month off work, or even if photography is your job, to take a month away from your sort of daily earning job of photography to go and spend a month on a beach in the Outer Hebrides. That's just not realistic for a lot of people. So a lot of the projects you'll find are people's photography projects from the local area, from something that's close to them, that's accessible. And you think, well, I would do that, and you can. And that's the thing. And the accessibility and affordability of these books are also a really low risk way to broaden your inspiration, because a lot of these books, I mean, in all fairness, the YouTubers and stuff don't charge stupid money. Like James Popsis wasn't bad, and I've got both version 1 or volume 1 and 2 of Thomas Heaton's. They weren't expensive either. And so they're not hugely expensive anyway. They are quite accessible, but some of the really famous ones are very, very expensive. There's loads I've looked at and thought, oh, I'd love that, and it's like 200 quid. Local photographers, smaller photographers, lesser known photographers, might charge 20 quid for a book. They might not be making a lot on it, but for a lot of us, it's not really about what you're making on it. It's seeing that work out there physically and knowing that someone else has bought that work and that someone else is going to be looking at your work. What else could you want from that? So I've got a challenge that I want all of you to take part in the comments. I want you to list 2, 3, 4, 5 photographers who's released books that you've bought or that you'd recommend, even if you haven't necessarily bought them. Smaller photographers. And then if you've got any money spare, 20 quid, 30 quid, whatever it could be, go to one of their pieces of work and buy a book. It's going to, 1, give them a lift if you do it before Christmas. Or even if not, they're still going to get a huge lift. And 2, you'll be inspired to start it yourself. And good things that come around, go around. It's not even a saying. But what I'm trying to get at is, by buying other people's work, there's a good chance that people will return that favour when you come to trying to work on your dream of hopefully creating your own photo book about a project that you really care about, and you want other people to see this work that you're proud of. And that's all that matters. So yeah, sometimes it's not about us. But if you like these videos, I really appreciate a like, a comment, subscribe. It's a new channel, trying to get this thing building a little bit of traction. But thanks for watching. Have a good Christmas and a happy new year, and we'll see you in the next one.